Hi everyone, I'm Bar0ti and the person that made the TAS, which is a tool-assisted speedrun, meaning that a machine rather than a human is playing the game, and I will be showing you all the TAS recording of the normal difficulty playthrough of Katana 0. But before we start, I'd like to just give a brief summary of what Katana 0 is. It's a game where we play as Zero, a bona fide weeb samurai that kills everyone in a single hit, but also dies in a single hit. To rectify the skill issue, the player can slow down the time, but needless to say, speedrunners don't do that as it's slow. So with that, let's start watching the recording. And you can start the timer now. I'd like to begin by explaining the movement. To go fast as humans, you'll be using crouch rolls as often as possible, which you do by holding the crouch button and pressing a directional movement key, which causes you to roll. But as you can see, the TAS does not do that. It is instead swapping between crouch rolls and slashing. Now, the reason why it's doing that is due to how rolls work. With each frame during a roll, your movement speed will go down. So by slashing in the middle of the roll, we are able to cut off the second, much slower half of the roll. Now, this is not exactly what's happening, as the TAS is actually doing 2 rolls after a slash. The reason why that's possible is due to crouching, as during a crouch and roll, you keep your momentum. So if you perform a slash that's slightly upwards and then do a frame-perfect crouch and then a roll, you will continuously rise above ground as this minimal upward speed is kept by the crouch and the roll. So after a while, you will eventually be kicked out of the roll because you reach the air, which is great because you can begin a new roll pretty much instantly. So by doing this, we are able to chain together 2 quick but short rolls. This movement tech is like the core of the TAS and the way you tackle all of the optimizations surrounding it. In a next room, you'll be able to see a very cool tech called a Ricky Boost, and it's actually the fastest way that Zero can move, which will happen here. After deflecting a bullet and bonking on a Ricky's melee attack on the same frame, Zero gets launched into the air at mad speed. In this room, we actually cannot slash, because we're supposed to do this room stealthily, so we only have rolls at our disposals. And roll cancels. You thought you were safe from me explaining movement tech? You thought wrong! So, this tech is actually pretty simple, so remember how the rolls work. The second half of them is way slower, so interrupt it with a slash, but with a roll cancel, we use a jump to interrupt the roll instead. And in this room, there's a laser skip possible. You're supposed to deactivate the lasers with a switch to the right to go through the block of lasers to the left, but by stacking 2 bullets on top of each other and letting them fly through the player as they're just about to enter the door, the roll gets extended, which would let the player to just roll through the block of lasers. But I didn't manage to task it as the setup required for this is insane, and I really spent a ton of time trying to do it. So, remember how I said that speedrunners don't use slow motion as that slow? Yeah, well, the TAS does use it, and at this point it has used it like over 100 times, and in a second the TAS won't be able to use the slow-mo for a few rooms. Starting from here, you may observe that the TAS is slightly slower without the slow-mo. The TAS has been doing 1 frame presses of slow-mo all this, as that barely slows down the game. And here we get our slow-mo. So slow-mo actually changes a few aspects of the game. It removes a wind-up period of a jump, so it ends up being done quicker, and more importantly, it lets you get kicked out of the first roll quicker when doing the double roll tech. Why? I've got absolutely no idea. A second Ricky Boost will be seen in just a bit here, so there's actually a second part to the Ricky Boost, which is the slide. Just observe Zero after he gets flanked in the rear and slides across the room here. You may recall the crouch action, which preserves your momentum. That's exactly what's happening here. By using crouch after the Ricky Boost, we're able to preserve that huge speed into the slide. And in this room, all of the shots from the gunners to the left get deflected, rather than just exploding them with a Molotov. This is one of the optimizations to do in the TAS, as you can do the double roll tech after deflecting a bullet or killing an enemy. So, you want to space out any deflects and kills that you do to maximize the amount of rolls. And here would be a good moment to hear some donations.
Absolutely. We have a $25 donation from Callum Cads that does not have a message with it, but we do have a $25 donation from Lena Bookworm that says, always looking forward to the TAS commentary. So cool to see what you can do. If we could play as perfect as a computer. Specifically set an alarm so I could watch this run before I go to work. Greetings from the Netherlands.
Alright, so I will be taking care from now on. The following two rooms are in our auto-scroller, as you have to use the card to proceed. However, in the second room, we can do a doom skip, which skips the waiting part for the card. To do that, we need to get high enough to reach another floor. The way we're gonna achieve that is by slashing upwards whilst deflecting bullet, as this actually gives us extra height from slashes and lets us slash sooner. This saves around 15 seconds and is here. As compared to just this saves around 15 seconds as compared to just waiting for the card. Up ahead, there will be the first boss of the game, called V, and he's the first enemy that doesn't die in a single hit, and we need to hit him 4 times to proceed. Unfortunately for V, he's got a massive skill issue, and we will just be able to bully him into the corner and slash him repeatedly from there. This is also not the last time we will see him, as he will appear a few more times throughout the run. By the way, if you look at the top left of the UI, at the LT button, you will see just how often the slow-mo is used, as whenever the slow-mo is used, the button is pressed. And also, you may have noticed that at the beginning of some rooms, Zero just teleports forward a whole lot. For example, in the next room. Right here. This is done by quick restarting in certain rooms. It just so happens that the starting position from a quick restart can be different to just naturally walking into the room. In this room, we've got a flamethrower and explosions. And after this room, there's a replay skip, which is a frame-perfect input of the replay eject button right here, which causes a forced replay that would have been played to be skipped. And here's the second boss of the game, Kissyface. He's not that different to V, as we have to hit him 4 times, and we bully him as well, as we do not let him attack before hitting him. After this boss, there's the Murphy stage, the single most annoying stage to TAS, due to RNG, as when exactly enemies shoot is RNG, when exactly they come out is RNG, how exactly they move is RNG. And to top it all off, we cannot just jump to a certain spot in Motor with an external tool, that, as is the case with any other room in the game. So if you want to do the second part of Moto, you also need to do the first part of it. The RNG is the reason why this is a recording and not just the TAS playing the game in a single sitting, as while the Moto stage is the major RNG source, there's also other RNG elements, such as shotgun RNG, shield enemy RNG, and some other minor RNG stuff. As you can also see, there's visible cuts here, and that's quick restarts being pressed as early as possible. There's also going to be an epic comeback of V at the end of Moto, as he will fight us in a helicopter this time, and there's a real cool skip at the very beginning of it, right here, where we will skip a cycle of it by deflecting his bullets that he shoots. Here me, the human, also takes control of the TAS, as there's far too much RNG in this heli fight to actually TAS. And it's done. The next stage of the game is Chinatown. Here, there's going to be a string of real cool rooms to watch, back to back, in one of which we'll even be able to skip killing a single enemy by making them through doorways that leads to another floor. This lets us proceed to the next room, because in the moment when the enemy is not visible, the game treats it as if it were dead, but it only works if you had to go through the doors to exit the room. Right here. In this room, there are two off-screen enemies that we will kill by carefully throwing smoke and a molotov. It's tricky, since how smoke spreads has RNG, and takes a few tries to make the first enemy stop walking so that the molotov can catch both of them in the explosion. And here we preserve a bullet to kill an enemy walking out of the car. Just one more room and we're done with Chinatown. After which, there's the Dragon stage, which will play as 15, a different character that has a Dragon Dash ability that kills anyone in their path, but puts the slash and the ability on cooler, so doors become a huge bottleneck as you have to know quick way to open them. There's also going to be some cool tech visible in this stage, where we will slide an upper wall even though we have no upward speed, shown here. Basically, what's happening here is that we travel towards the light, the wall, but just before hitting it, we change directions. This causes us to stick to the wall, but from the other direction. We can then wall jump, but rather than jumping away from the wall, we will jump into the wall itself, which gives us some upward speed. And here would be a pretty good time to hear some more donations.
Perfect. We have a $50 donation from Maya that reads, "Hi, Bar0ti. We're all watching with love from T2. I'm excited to see 15's level and hear your thoughts on him." We also have a $15 donation from Anonymous that says, "TAS are always incredibly fun to watch. Shout out to the ASCII soft speedrunning community." Or ASCII? Let's go, Bar0ti.
Alright. In this stage, there is an intended huge skip that you can do by not triggering sensors in certain rooms. Like, for example, in the next room. Without the skip, you'd be forced to sit in a room for like 2 minutes and do a series of tests, and you'd also be stuck in all of these empty rooms for dialogue. After which, there is going to be the Bunker 1 stage, which includes the last Ricky boost in the game as we're approaching the end. Right at the very end of Bunker 1, there's going to be a ton of cool stuff happening at the same time. First, a laser skip, where we skip deactivating the lasers by doing a frame-perfect roll cancel, as otherwise we'd be killed by a death plane. Then, there's a bomb skip, where we kill ourselves with an explosion to skip the false death that would happen in a cutscene later on. And lastly, Bunker 2-1, where you will just have to see it. See how awesome it is. One annoying part about Bunker 1 is that you need to activate switches at the end of the room so that you can enter the elevator. But the doors do not open quickly enough, so there's some waiting involved. And also, here's the hardest room in the entire game. I know this is a bad joke, but I had to do it. And this is the laser skip room. And this one is going to be the bomb skip one. And this one is Bunker 2-1. We're in Bunker 2 now, the last stage of the game. The following room, there's going to be a very precise bomb throw where we both kill 2 enemies at the top and a left enemy at the bottom. Right here. And it's the final boss time, Headhunter. She appears a few times on the opposite side of where Zero stands at set times. So rather than waste time by moving to her, we will use bullet deflects to hit her instead. Here's the hit. And here's the second part of the boss fight, where Headhunter becomes Headhunted. God. So, get ready to pause the timer soon. And pause the timer. Alright, so the final time for the TAS is 13 minutes and 36 seconds. Just to put things into the perspective, the current world record is 15 minutes and 11 seconds by DNJ. so almost 2 minutes slower. And it's a real good world record as well. So, credits time. Let's start with who made the TAS tool itself, which is K. Cortez. Thanks a lot. I had a ton of fun creating the TAS. Then there's Cherry Jam. He made a data readout tool, which is extremely useful for finding tech and understanding the game. And finally, Quinn is Fluid. She made a modification to the game that lets you simulate non-reset rooms from a quick reset save. Snack tasked part of the Headhunter 2 boss fight, and I've done the rest of the game. And also found a bunch of strats and tech. Doom 5255555 also found a bunch of strats and tech, for example the Doom skip. And finally, last number, he found the double roll tech, movement tech, also called scaft rolls. And also thank you to my girlfriend for helping me write this commentary. And also, I invite you all to speedrun Katana 0, as it's extremely fun to do, and we've got an amazing community to welcome you all. All right. I think that's all from me.
And thank you so much. What a fantastic run that was. I'm always so impressed by the movement of that game. We have a $5 donation from Dark Monkey that says, always love a TAS run and new Katana 0 would be great. Have a great AGDQ, everyone. And looks like we're going to take a break here. So stretch your legs, grab some water, and we will be back in a moment. And we are back. Thank you so much for all your energy during the break. During the break, we got a $50 donation from Bar0ti that says, couldn't resist not donating for Freedom Planet 2's incentive, one of my favorite games from 2022. And thank you all so much for waiting. We are ready. So without further ado, here's Uranium Anchor with Freedom Planet 2.